HealingYourself.Life provides information for awareness, educational, and support purposes only and does not diagnose or prescribe treatment for any medical condition. Viewers are encouraged to do their own due diligence and consult with their own medical caregivers before making personal treatment decisions. Welcome back to HealingYourself.Life. I'm Dunagun Kaiser.
I'm Melody Kaiser.
And we're here to take you with us on a road trip that we recently made to Europe and to see some of the beautiful historic sites there and some natural wonders and to see family as well. And we also practiced some of the practices that we showed you in a previous video about how to stay healthy while traveling. I was able to, because we have to worry about our weakened immune systems from Lyme and Candida and leaky gut. However, even despite our precautions, Melody came down with some illnesses on this vacation. And it was really unnerving at the airport, even while we were waiting at the gate to get on.
Many people coughing,
passengers, crew.
I must have been flu season there.
Sneezing, coughing.
Anyway, I ended up with a very bad sore throat, and my lymph nodes, you could just see they were very, very swollen. Managed to still enjoy the trip, but not as much as I would have liked to. So we'll be maybe learning some more techniques that I can stay healthy on our next travels.
And we did find out that even in the confined quarters of the airplane, perhaps masks they have.
I will in the future.
We had it at home. We just didn't bring it along.
We didn't. And it will be in my health toolbox for next time to wear a mask just because I need to with my fragile immune system at this point.
So come on along with us to a Mediterranean cruise.
We flew from Detroit, Michigan, all the way to France was our first stop, and then we connected to another flight all the way to Venice, Italy.
Our itinerary was going to take us across 4 different countries in Europe that we've never been to before, starting from Venice, Italy, and that's where we'll first show you about how we did some preparations on the plane to make sure that we didn't catch anything directly from touching surfaces on the plane.
So we're back, Melody and Dunagun, and we're going to show you how to wipe down your airline seating areas so that it's clean, because they do not clean them after every flight.
A lot of people get sick on airplanes.
That's very true. So one of the things we like to do that's one of your dirtiest spots are the handrails here and inside, and your tray. So it looks like our tray is inside. So we pull that out. Oh my goodness. I'm going to need a little help. There we go. And wipe that down. Thoroughly. And the other one. And then, there's no handle here.
Basically, any surfaces that you plan on touching, like your
your belt buckles, that get very, very dirty.
window handle.
And this other seat part.
You got another tray?
I guess we have 2 trays, so I'm going to have to
Pretty handy.
switch to another
Wipe.
right here. And we bring the travel size. It's very convenient. You can get them anywhere at Walmart, and they're not expensive. That way they fit easily. So just wipe this down. Yes. Anywhere that you're gonna touch. Now there are people who also wear masks.
We even purchased a box of these hospital-grade masks at the local pharmacy. You can get them anywhere. They're much more comfortable than those stiff paper things that you sometimes see, and they fit pretty nicely. I guess my main reluctance is just embarrassment. I think people's going to think I'm carrying some deadly disease, like I have the plague or something, and stay away from me, or not let me fly, or some stupid thing.
And I've been wearing them now outside because of allergies, which I never had before, but I've developed them here. Again, who knows if it's from the Lyme disease. So I wear them outside, and they work. I feel like the air that you're breathing isn't as fresh, but you certainly aren't getting in the molds and the pollen, and so that saves me. It helps.
And on the airplane, it'd be
And
other
on the
people's
airplane, it'd be
sneezing
the
and
sneezing
coughing.
and the germs that they are, and it's getting around in the plane.
The other one that I want to just warn you against is that coffee, not to order the coffee. Dr. Oz was saying they don't clean the pots like they're supposed to.
Change out the batches.
Yeah, they don't change the things
Plus, you get their
out.
tap water or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the best. So you should avoid the coffee. And the ice, I would also avoid the ice if you can. Just one more thing is if you are going to be touching the packets in front of you, it's wise to wipe them down too, because again, there's tons of passengers and you don't know who's been sick or not. Okay.
We arrived at the airport in Venice, and our taxi driver said he couldn't take us to our hotel because his taxi didn't swim. There are no vehicles allowed in the city of Venice, so we had to carry our luggage across these little bridges, across these canals. It was easy to get lost. We went past gondolas and all these canals, and it was nice to see children in the streets. It's like stepping
They
back
were,
in time.
Yeah, able to play freely without adult supervision.
We
It's
finally
great.
arrived at the door of our hotel, which is obviously has a big sign. You see the sign? Neither did we.
No.
We couldn't find the hotel. It was really difficult. We were dehydrated,
Yes.
and we finally found it. We got to walk everywhere, though.
We did.
And visit St. Mark's Basilica. This is a picture of us in front of St. Mark's Basilica.
Yeah, and thankfully I was sick through all. I'm not sick. I was healthy through that whole time period, so that was good.
And this is the square outside St. Mark's Basilica between there and a large palace called the Doge's Palace that was a big political center. At one time, Venice had the most powerful navy in the world, and the Republic of Venice was on par to any other one of the empires you've heard of. This is beautiful architecture inside that palace. When we were time to leave Venice, we decided rather than schlepping our baggage, we actually were able to get a private water taxi, which is the way to go. It's
Yeah,
like a
it was
limousine.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. Yes, the ride was very amazing, and we had this private boat, and it drove us all the way up to our cruise ship. It was absolutely wonderful. The other one, which was a public bus, we would have had to take a public bus and then a taxi to get to where our was, and it would have been jam packed with a bunch of people again, probably coughing. And this was much better. I will say the little ones did have a cold, so I don't know whether I got sick on the plane or whether I got sick from the little ones. But I was healthy in Venice, which was great.
The second country we visited was Montenegro, and it's appeared in some famous James Bond movies recently, but we had never been there for sure. The old world charm of this was beautiful. The architecture is Venetian because it was part of the Venetian Republic and heavily influenced by the architecture of Venice, and very sturdy, clean, and walkable. But the geography was amazing because Montenegro is characterized by these mountainous fjords that reach down to the sea, very sheltered and protected. And you see two islands there. The one on the left is a natural island. The one on the right we visited was man-made when some sailors at sea were going to crash, but they found a picture of Our Lady on the rocks, and they and the townspeople built this island out of stones brought on ships, and they built this chapel, the Chapel of Our Lady of the Rocks, and in honor of her. And we saw a reconstructed sailing ship sail by afterwards.
Right, and many people who have weddings look like they come to the island, and I don't know if they still leave something for Mary or not, but they come there and take pictures and things like that.
And on the way back to town, we noticed this, just again, the architecture and the geography juxtaposed so beautifully there. And Montenegro has both very sunny and swimming in the
Here's
summer.
the picture where we got their local brandy, and the tour guide was very good about. She talked about how I don't think it was her mother or grandmother, I can't remember, is way into her 90s and drinks it every day. So I don't know if it's a healthy thing, but it sure helped my sore throat.
On to Greece, and our first stop was Thera, which is a small fishing village near Santorini. a famous resort town, and beautiful, where you see these whitewashed buildings. We went to below the small village at the bottom of the mountain here and boarded a ship, a very beautiful little, sort of like a hardwood beautiful ship, and took it across the harbor to a volcanic observatory where there's actually an active volcano. And if you look around the horizon there, what you see is that all the islands around here are in a circle, and you are in the center of a collapsed caldera of an ancient volcano that erupts every 10,000 years, and it's due. It's overdue, and they think that that's where the lost continent of Atlantis fell into the ocean, right nearby there.
Then we went for a lovely swim, and it was supposedly a hot spring. It wasn't that hot, but again, tried to get my throat, because at that point my throat was hurting, and tried to get that into the medicinal waters, and it didn't help. So.
Back once again at the town of Santorini, we went up the hill on that cable car ride you see to the top, and got to walk around the village up there and see the shops. And we had stopped for dinner overlooking the beautiful caldera bay down below. There's our cruise ship down there. And that was our visit to Santorini, Greece. Our next stop took us to the small village of Katakolan, Greece, which is a short bus ride away from and past a bunch of solar-topped buildings, which was just amazing, both photovoltaic and hot water solar, to the ancient site of Olympia, the site of the first Olympic Games. And it's a historic site where it used to be both pagan religious ceremonies there, but celebrating not only athletics, but also their religion. We went ahead and walked into the main arena there and got to see the ruins of the actual places where the Olympic Games, the first Olympic Games ever, were held, and held for hundreds of years, and people would come from all over the ancient world to compete together at this training grounds and dormitories and the main stadiums and hot baths and all that sort of thing. So they also had religious ceremonies there to all the various pagan gods, and they had they took it all very very seriously. It was a big center of their cultural life. There's our guide showing us a reconstructed image of what the place had looked like back in the ancient days, and we were able to spend a couple hours.
Yeah, it was great. The other thing she always mentioned there was that women were not allowed in to see the games. I guess there were priestesses there, but not in the games themselves. They could light the torch, and I assume then they had to leave as well. And so that means mothers could not see their sons, and they would sneak in sometimes.
Afterwards, we stopped by a Greek restaurant with costumed dancers who first showed us several Greek dances and also invited us out onto the floor to dance with them. Then we were able to return to our port and get back on the ship and head to Croatia. In Croatia, we visited the only country not in the Eurozone of these. We saw the old world buildings and a lot of the architecture. We saw like Soviet-style architecture before we left town.
Yes, it was very stark.
But out of town, the layers of history. This was an aqueduct built by the Roman Emperor Diocletian back in the early few hundreds AD, and then out into a valley where you can see on a distant hillside a fortress on top of the hill. That's called the Key because it overlooks the entire valley and controlled all the flow of people from the mountains through the valleys to the coast and the Adriatic Sea. Then we also saw Wind's farm as we passed through the countryside, and very stony soil, and a lot of the stone walls that the original farmers had to have them and their families and their children build from picking the stones out of the field so they could be farmable. Finally arrived at the Krka Nature Park. We saw the Krka River flowing through a forest, and there's a boardwalk built all throughout the forest, so you can walk for it was a couple mile loop I think we went on.
It was wonderful. Very beautiful.
Through this flooded forest and seeing these chub fish swimming everywhere. You looked in the water, very crystal clear water,
very
and
nice.
Little waterfalls and big waterfalls in different places there.
Then we could swim after, and we did.
And we did, right at the base of this falls.
My throat was still hurting, so a lot of my memory is gone from there.
We finally returned to Venice, Italy, and we stayed at a very modern hotel where they had this automatic orange juicing machine, the freshest orange juice you've ever had because it was in an orange like a minute before you drank it.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
And they also had honey right from the comb as part of their. So it was a very, very modern, but lots of natural amenities in this beautiful Anya Park Hotel near the Venice airport.
Yeah, it was great.
And then it was farewell to Venice and on home. Coming along with us on our Mediterranean cruise.
Yep, this will be the next thing I wear on the airplane at least, and maybe in any other enclosed type places. And also a couple of other things that I'll be doing is, it's called UVBI, which they take some...
Ultraviolet blood irradiation.
Thank you. And they also put ozone in there, and they take a little bit of blood out, and then they put it back in after they've run it through, and that builds your immune system, along with some other things to try to keep me healthy the next time we have to travel.
So I guess the good thing is this vacation cost you a lot less than it cost us. So thanks for coming along with us and for joining us.
And any other ideas for staying healthy while traveling would be great to share. I'm sure other people are interested.
Yeah, so add your any comments down below of things that have worked well for you to stay healthy while traveling. Make sure you click the thumbs up wherever it is, and go ahead and tell your friends to come on and watch us at HealingYourself.Life and the other experts and doctors and so on that we have on here. So just glad you're here.
Yes, thank you.